What are you hearing from your sources about the potential for a trade deal to be announced this morning?
Yes, it's very exciting. I think it's been such a long journey going back to 2016. Whichever way you voted on that day, whether for Remain or for Leave, nobody thought that we'd be sailing so close to a no deal. So I think there's huge relief right across the piece here. Clearly, we wait for the details. Parliament will probably have to be recalled, or we'll look at the details and then confirm them. This is good news. Britain starts 2021 as president of the G7. We're going to host this big climate change summit as well. How would it have looked if we'd actually ended up not having some form of cooperation with our closest neighbours? So I'm actually quite relieved at the moment, very pleased indeed.
You certainly sound upbeat, like you're ready to break out some of the English sparkling, Tobias.
Yeah.
Can I ask you about fishing rights? Because that's been a sticking point, and we've seen in recent copy that maybe it's a 35% cut over a 5-year transition period versus the 25% over a 6-year transition. What are you expecting on this front, and what would be the significance of any agreement?
You are right. Fishing is an important aspect. Let's not put it in perspective. 98% of the deal had been confirmed. So on aviation, on energy agreements, security, data security is so important these days with how much we use the internet, nuclear cooperation. But that fishing issue was a bit of a challenge. Whether how we work on the quotas, the zones themselves, or the time frames, you mentioned a 5-year time frame, that's the details. Let's not forget that we catch a lot of fish in the UK. Where do we sell it? We sell it to the EU. So I think always there was going to be a landing place for us to get to. I'm glad the Prime Minister and Ursula von der Leyen has actually managed to do that.
Tobias, given your background in the services, you obviously took a very strong line around some of the suggestions that we'd have Royal Navy boats policing the waters. That obviously didn't help that kind of noise as we came into the tail end of the year and the last-minute negotiations. Do you think we can now comfortably take all of that sort of saber-rattling off the table and get back to a more amicable relationship with our cousins across the Channel?
It's so important. You make such a valid point. This saber-rattling that takes place, not always by those people that are in the room where these discussions are taking place. And they are a big distraction. How does it look when us, the UK, is actually sort of vying against a NATO ally? You put France and Britain together, you actually get half of the military capability across Europe. And here we are sparring against each other in the English Channel. That does not look good. And I'm glad we moved on from those headlines. We have to cooperate with France. We have to cooperate with these other countries. I touched on what's happening, next year. We've got in the United States a new occupant of the White House wanting to re-engage with the West. We've all become rather too risk-averse. Our adversaries, not least China, have taken full advantage of that. Time to regroup. And we can do that working with our allies in the continent, working with the United States as well. 2021 is going to be a busy year.
How important is the detail on particularly the fishing aspect of this deal for smooth passage of ratification through the Commons?
It's one of those issues that's politically charged because we've got a lot of constituents, MPs that represent fishing areas, want the best deal. But like I said, there is a quid pro quo there. We catch a lot of fish, but the market that we sell it to is the very, very people that we're discussing. Therefore, I'm sure that we're going to get a deal, maybe with a time bar on it, that we see how it goes, maybe up to 5 years, and then it's for review as well. And that, I think, is actually sensible. What would have been worse is to throw everything away over this one particular aspect. Cooperation with our European allies is so critical.